thank you so much for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Rebecca Brockman. I'm 24 years old. I've been working in food recovery for the past 2.5 years. I've been working as the program coordinator for the Society of St. Andrew. Food recovery and addressing food insecurity is a recent development in my career, but I am very excited to be here and to be helping to empower communities.
Can you share with us what initially drew you to the mission of providing nutritious food to communities, and how did you get involved with the Society of St. Andrew?
Yeah, absolutely. I was born and raised here in Orlando, and my mother was a foster parent for about 12 years, from the time I was 10 to 22. It was through some of these interactions that I began to understand what food insecurity looks like in my community. I have a very specific memory where we had this 3-year-old. He had been with us for about a day or two, and we were sitting at the dinner table trying to have dinner. And so we saw that he was starting to eat his food, and we're like, great, he's comfortable with us, fantastic. He finishes his first bowl of food. My mom gets up, gets him a second bowl of food, sets that down in front of him. He goes, he eats that bowl of food relatively quickly, but my mom's never one to refuse anyone anything, so she got up, got him a third bowl of food, gave it to him. He began eating his third bowl of food, and he ended up getting sick all over the table. He had come from a food insecure household, and he didn't know when his next meal was coming in, where it was coming from, what he would be getting. And so after he got sick, instead of crying, instead of asking to be cleaned up, he ended up reaching into the bowl of food to continue eating. So this and a few other instances in my life really did make it apparent to me that we do have food insecurity. I have also lived in a food desert, and it's something that I'm passionate about, to bring healthy and nutritious food options and make it accessible to people that need it. So I began volunteering with the Society of St. Andrew when I was about 12 or 13. My parents were very much servants of the community, very much believed in giving back. If you couldn't give back with money, you gave back with time, with labor, with your love. So we would go to the orange groves and we would harvest the fresh fruit there and then donate it back into the community. So I did that, went through a lull with the Society of St. Andrew, and then saw that they were hiring when I was working for the city of Orlando, and decided, oh my goodness, I can do this as a job now. Applied for it and I got it. And I tell my volunteers that not much has changed since I've been like 12 or 13. When I used to go volunteer out in the fields, I would find all the rotten fruits and vegetables and kind of throw them at my dad. So whenever he's volunteering with me, he's got to look out, because I still do the same thing.
For those unfamiliar, could you briefly explain what gleaning is and how it's making an impact in Central Florida?
Gleaning is the act of going into a farmer's field after the initial harvest and gathering what is left over. So the farmer can go through the field one time, they can go through the field 3, 4, 5 times, and then we go with volunteers and we harvest that, and then we donate it to receiving agencies or food banks and food pantries that are able to give out the food, to then give it to the community. Gleaning in and of itself is making an impact in Central Florida, in that we are able to provide fresh fruits and vegetables for zero cost for the receiving agency. So they are able to then give this to their clients for free, because we work with such wonderful farmers, and then we have volunteers who volunteer their labor, their time, and then the agencies that then give it out. So it is a completely cost-free system that we make sure that we can get the food to the people that need it.
When did this all start, gleaning?
Oh gosh.
Like, who created the idea?
Gleaning is pretty ancient practice. So, I mean, Society of St. Andrew, we're faith-based, so we reference the story of Ruth when we talk about gleaning, in that it comes from biblical times, and Ruth would go through the farmer's fields after they're done harvesting and pick up what was left over so she could feed herself and her family. So the Society of St. Andrew started in 1979 with 2 Methodist ministers in Big Island, Virginia, which is in the middle of nowhere, population of 400, and they had seen local farmers throwing their potatoes that they couldn't sell out to the market into the woods. So they went up to these farmers and said, hey, give us this food and we'll redistribute it back into the community. And thus they started growing steadily, going out from Big Island to the rest of Virginia. And now we have 10 regional offices. We operate in 12 states, and we've rescued millions of pounds of food.
I like how you say rescued.
Yeah, we rescue the food.
What is the current state of food waste in Central Florida, and how does it correlate with hunger and food insecurity in our community?
Ooh, that is a great question. So I can definitely speak from the farm and industrial side of it. our farmers will waste anywhere between 30 to 70% of the food that they produce. So this is either they go through, they harvest it, and they leave it in the fields after the first harvest because they got the best of the crop, or food will be graded out through warehouses. So if it doesn't look right for market, if it's a little blemished, they will go ahead and toss that. So what we do is that, especially with packing houses, we intervene, we collect what is left over and then donate it. And it's so interesting that we have this abundance where our farmers will waste 30 to 70% of what they produce. And then we are here where we have over 2 million Floridians who are in food insecure households that don't have access to fresh produce, and that are in need of these products. So through the Society of St. Andrew, we're able to bridge that gap and help facilitate the food from the farm before it goes to waste and then getting it to the people.
Wow, 30 to 70%. Well, I'll say this sounds like a really innovative idea, although you say it's been around since biblical times. Can you share some innovative strategies and programs that the Society of St. Andrew has put in place to reduce food waste and promote sustainability?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that what we do in and of itself isn't extremely innovative. I think that our approach to it is extremely minimalistic, and then that helps us empower communities to then glean and rescue food within their areas. Because everything that I do, when I go to an event, I have to pack it all into a pickup truck and then be able to go there. So I have my farmers, I have my volunteers who help me pick the food, and then I have my receiving agencies who typically will send a truck or a box truck to then pick up the food to then distribute. So what we do is that we try to show local populaces like, hey, this is what we do, this is how we do it. You can replicate it easily, and you can help ensure that your community gets fresh produce. So I have part-time area gleaning coordinators that are based out of specific counties so that they can facilitate more boots on the ground there. And then we also have volunteer supervisors that help fill in that gap where we're not able to get into.
What would you say to communities that feel that they may not have any farms near them?
Well, the good thing about Florida is that there is always a farm near you. We have so much farmland, and there are specific areas that have specific food or fruits and vegetables that they're known for. I mean, this is for the Society of St. Andrew, Florida is the only region that actually gleans year-round. We will always have something to glean. Maybe it's not specifically in your area, but when Central Florida's in a lull, we'll have something up in the Panhandle, or we'll have something in South Florida. There's always an opportunity to volunteer.
And how can the community get involved and volunteer?
Yeah, the community can get involved and volunteer by going onto our website on endhunger.org and then going onto our Florida page. There you can view our volunteer calendar and see what is available near you for volunteering, for gleaning. Sometimes we do food distributions. So if it's available in your area, if we are in that season, you are able to volunteer.
Is there a success story or experience that stands out that you would like to share?
I believe that food is a connector for people. I mean, we live here in America. There are so many lines of difference, but there's one thing that we all need, and it's food. And I remember we were here in sweet corn season over in Mount Dora, and for some reason, I could not find a receiving agency to come pick up the food. Either their trucks were broken down, or they were running routes, or a agency couldn't send volunteers to transport the food. And we had a huge cornfield. I mean, these things are about 60 feet wide by a quarter mile long. There's a lot of food there. We can get thousands of pounds out of one cornfield. And so a volunteer had called me and she told me, hey, can't show up to this gleaning just because I have something going on. And I was just telling her my woe is me story of like, oh, I can't find anyone. I need someone to help me transport. And she said, okay, let me see if the abbot from my Buddhist temple can pick up the food. She's like, is that okay? And I said, oh, that would be perfect. She calls me back 5 minutes later and she's like, great. He's interested. He has, we have a celebration coming up soon for the birthday of the Buddha. And we want to give out this food to the community for free. But he doesn't speak any English and I can't be there. So day of the glean happens. I get my volunteers. We go out to the field. We start harvesting. 30 to 45 minutes later, the abbot shows up. And so I introduce myself as best I can. He introduces himself as best as he can. And so I put him in my truck. I'm like, great. we're going to go drive to the cornfield now because it's a little bit of a hike. And then we get there and his eyes light up and he's like, is all of this for us? I'm like, yeah, it's all for us. As much as we can pick, as much as we can take home today, it's for us because they're going to destroy the field in 2 days. He grabs a bag and he jumps out of my car. I'm like, oh my gosh, I lost him. Because you can lose people in cornfields so easily. And one, he doesn't speak English and he's an older gentleman. So my volunteer told me, she's like, don't let him out of your sight. 15 minutes later, though, he pops back up, puts his full bag of corn. He is smiling from ear to ear. Puts it in my truck, gets back in my car. And so we collect the rest of the food that we had gathered. And then I went over to his truck and we start dumping the corn into the back of his truck. And he's like, oh, how much do I pay you? And I said, you don't pay me. This is for free. This is for the community. Just make sure it gets to the people that need it. And I think that we both had a moment because he said, this is why I love being in America, because people help other people and they don't think about it. And it was just such a nice moment to have, to be like, oh, yeah, we don't really have a language in common. There's so many things that are different about us. But through my work and through the Society of St. Andrew, we are able to create a safe space where people can come here, not be judged, get food if they need it, and take it to their community so that they can further empower their individuals. So then he invited me to the celebration that Sunday, and I went, and it was so much fun. I got to see them give out the corn and do what they do, and it was amazing.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. It's a great story.
Yeah, I love that story. And we still work with them through him and
That's
through my
great.
volunteer. We've actually worked with 5 other local temples to glean and then donate produce.
Oh, wonderful. So at their celebration, they were able to give out that food for free.
They were able to give it out. They even cooked up some of the food, which was nice. They made these nice, like, sweet corn fritters, and I destroyed those things. They were so good.
What advice would you give someone who wants to start making a difference in their community regarding food waste and hunger?
There are so many ways that you can make a difference regarding food waste, whether it be reducing waste at home or working at a community garden. If you're going more for my side of things, if you have a few hours on a Saturday or a day of the week and you want to go outside and you want to connect with people, you can join me on one of my gleans and then go out, work, harvest the food, and then see it immediately get back into the community. Because we work on a 24-hour model where we glean that morning, we get it to the food agency that day, and then they give it out that next day, or even that afternoon sometimes.
We have an activity here where you're going to quiz me.
Oh, great.
And these are from your website. So if any of the viewers want to do the rest of this quiz, they can go to your website, which is
endhunger.org. We have multiple resources for learning about food insecurity.
All right. And so the first question is,
so these beans are headed for a landfill. What's wrong with them? So we have A, they are not fresh. B, nobody likes green beans. C, they are the wrong length. And D, they have botulism spores.
I'm going to go with C, they're the wrong length.
Yeah, you are correct. They are the wrong length. A lot of farms, when they gather produce, if it doesn't look fit for market, they will toss it, whether it be bruised or it looks a little funky or it's the wrong length. It's going to go in the trash. So this corn is headed for a landfill. What is wrong with it? A, they were the second and third ears of each stalk. B, they have pesticide residue. C, the ears are wormy. And D, they fell off the truck.
I'm going to go with they have pesticide residue.
That is actually not correct. So they were the second and third ears on each stalk.
No way.
Yes. So when farmers are harvesting produce, especially with corn, they want to get the best of the best to sell at market. So sometimes it's the top corn on the stalk, so they'll take that and then leave the rest. So that's why we come in and we'll get the second and third ear of the corn.
I'll just say that really is wasteful.
It really is wasteful, yes. So these peaches are headed for a landfill. What's wrong with them? A, they were overlooked at harvest. B, they are bruised. C, they didn't get sold. Or D, they are too big.
They do look big. Are they too big?
Yes, they are too big. Again, with looking fit for market. If it's not fit for market, they don't get sold.
So I guess that's why when you're at the grocery store, they all look about the same size.
Yes, exactly. It's purely cosmetic. The food that we do glean, even though it doesn't look the prettiest, it is still completely edible. So these potatoes are headed for a landfill. What's wrong with them? A, they were delivered to the wrong place. B, the flavor is off. C, they are last year's potatoes. Or D, they are the wrong shape.
They look like they were accidentally delivered to the landfill.
They do.
And I'll go with A.
With A, they're actually the wrong shape. So,
Oh, that's so funny. As
his little mustache.
Wow. So they are so picky with what they send to the grocery store. Have you heard of the what, Misfit something?
Misfit Market.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I love Misfit Market. I think it's a great way to be able to pay our farmers for the produce that they can't sell. So one of our biggest things is that people think, oh, we want all of our produce for free all the time, and we don't like it when our farmers sell to things like Misfit Market. That's not what we believe in. We want our farmers to make money if they can because we want them to stay in business so that when they are able to donate, they do donate.
Thank you so much for being with us. I really appreciate it and definitely learned a lot. And like I said, to any of our viewers who want to learn more or continue this quiz, you could just go to the website. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you're enjoying this show, please subscribe to our channel and follow our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter accounts.